Alright guys, I never planned to do a review on this rod here, but I thought it was it was definitely worth it for those who may need it. The rod I'm talking about is the Shakespeare Ugly Stik Catfish rod. Mine was a 7-foot medium heavy, and for the price, it's a good rod. It's a good overall rod for what you're paying for it. I bought it in a combo. The reel worked good. Me personally, I just didn't really like it that much, and at the time I had some money to go ahead and replace it. But the the rod, at the time of purchasing, I was getting into catfishing. I'd already done some, and I rather enjoyed it. Never caught anything that big. With my catfish, they were anywhere from like 1 to 3 pounds, and I had a couple maybe around 4 pounds. Fortunately, I went through all my photos, and I don't have any photos of the catfish I caught with it. But I've also caught some bowfin and redfish as well. I definitely did use it a lot for catfish, even though it wasn't the primary species I enjoy fishing for. But I did use it actually quite a bit for red fishing. It's some really nice redfish. The biggest one, I don't know, he could have been maybe over 20 pounds, I don't know. But the rod, the rod handled it. It was down at the Calcasieu shipping channel down in Louisiana, and not only was I fighting that fish, but I was also fighting the current that it was living in, and the rod handled it. The rod's pretty light, had more than enough sensitivity for the species I was targeting, and I did really enjoy it. A year ago, I moved though from the south, and I moved up north to the state of Oregon. And even though there are catfish here, it's just not a really big species that people target. I've heard a few stories from people I've talked to who've caught them at random, and just haven't really gotten into it while I've been up here. Now what I did get into was sturgeon fishing, and last year it was the only rod I had that that I thought was capable enough to tackle a sturgeon, at least until I got something better. And managed, I don't know, maybe 6 or 8 sturgeon last year, with the biggest, it was like 4 feet long. Weight, I don't know, really don't know how to judge weight on them. But this year came around, probably 6 months ago. I'd bought a replacement rod for it, and I bought the Shakespeare Ugly Stik Tiger. And yesterday was the first time I've been out sturgeon fishing, as I only do it when the bass bite kind of dies off. Then I'd start to transition into the sturgeon for the late fall, winter time frame. But I used my Ugly Stik Tiger, and I caught quite a few. And my son, he had caught 3 yesterday. The biggest was maybe 3 feet or something like that. And the last one he caught, well, it broke the rod. Now granted, there was some 6 to possible 8 foot long sturgeon there. They were rolling at the surface and jumping out of the water. Now I don't know if it was necessarily one of them that he had hooked, but there's no guarantee it was the rod's fault. It could have been a smaller sturgeon than the ones that we were thinking it might have been. There was a few things he could have possibly done to stop it from happening, such as letting off the drag a little bit. And then I think the final string was that big old fish darted underneath his kayak, and he was kind of banked up into a corner on a spill buoy, whatever they're called. So there wasn't really anywhere for him to go, and that rod was just bent straight down and started tucking up underneath the kayak until it finally snapped. But I've had this rod for about 4 to 5 years, and I'm definitely pleased with the with the rod's performance for what I paid for it. If I was to ever get back into catfishing, yeah, I probably would buy another one. But I thought I would share this quick, short, and simple review for what you're paying for. I definitely think it's a it's a pretty decent rod, and if this is something you think you're interested in, it wouldn't be a loss to funds. 4 to 5 years, catfish, bowfin, redfish, sturgeon, and and only as of yesterday did it finally break on me. But hopefully this video was helpful for any of those of you who are looking into getting this rod. And you guys take care, and tight lines.